It's Mike Ogilvie. Welcome to our Drag Week blog for 2024. Started out as a real exciting week. My son-in-law, Nic Poirier, decided to build a drag and drive car. He got his Godfather's Camaro a couple years back, and that was his dream to build it into a drag and drive car. So we decided to put an entry in for the 2024 Drag Week, and we got accepted a little sooner than we thought. We thought we might not get accepted till 2025, but luckily got accepted for this year. So bit of a thrash to get the car going. Nic worked on it pretty well nonstop for a year, and then I jumped in hard for the last couple months to try and get it ready. We decided to make it. It was mid-September. It was a great adventure, and I was really excited to add it to my resume. So follow along, and I'll let you know how the week played out. How Drag Week works out, it's 5 different drag strips, 5 different days, roughly 1,000 miles in between. So you start at one track, you circle around to the other 4 tracks, and end up basically back where you started, so you can pick up your tow rig. Basic rules, you're allowed 2 guys, 1 race car. Needs to be somewhat street legal. You're allowed to tow basically a 4x8 trailer with all your tools, all your tires, all your fuel, everything required to survive the week. So this year we started out in Columbus, Ohio. Had a chance to they give you, get registered, get through tech inspection, make sure you pass both NHRA inspection and the street legal stuff they go through to make sure everything's going to pass tech. Very fortunate, we got through tech fairly easy on Sunday morning. Got a chance to make a couple test runs on Sunday to make sure the car is good. Very happy with the way the car worked because everything was brand new. Nic fabricated the complete new chassis for it with brand new engine, brand new trans, rear end, everything was new in the car. All new wiring, all new everything. So to be able to, we get it down there, make a first quarter-mile run with it. We did actually get a chance to take it to Louisville 2 Sundays prior, but only had a chance for a couple big runs, trial runs with the big blower. Car was pretty violent, so we had to tame it down a little bit. Decided to run it on the street blower for the remainder of the week just to see if we could finish Drag Week. Our goal was to try and finish the week. Being a brand new car, 1,000 miles with 1,000 horsepower street cars sounds way easier than it actually is. I've been fortunate enough to build a lot of cars in my life. Didn't give us a real good, chance. I figured we might have a 10 to 20% chance of finishing it. So we set the bar fairly low. We were grateful to get accepted the first year, so I said, well, let's go. We'll try and compete it. Not to be disappointed if we didn't make the week, but to give it a try and learn what it was all about. So we were very fortunate to have an awesome week. So stay with us, you'll see how it went. Basically on Sunday, we got there, like I say, we went through tech inspection. Everything went very well, got registered, kind of got the lay of the land, what we had to do. Put down 2 test runs with the car, worked flawlessly. It went like 923, I think, on the first pass, and somewhere in the low 920s, I think, or high teens on the second run. So we decided we were good there. We'd go through, check everything on the car, get some rest. We were up a lot of late nights and weekends trying to get the car ready. We were pretty busy trying to get the trailer tore apart to get it in the upper lift of the stacker to get it there and get room for the car and, make sure we had lists of tools and spare parts and everything we needed. So we hadn't had a lot of sleep in the months leading up to this. We're late rolling in there to the middle of the night on the Saturday night previous. So very happy to get 2 runs on the car Sunday. The reason I was driving the car, Nic had to jump in a dragster to get his license. You need an NHRA license to run that speed in that type of vehicle. I was fortunate enough I already had a license. Nic did get his passes down in the dragster and got everything required. We mailed our stuff in NHRA. We just unfortunately didn't get it back in time to make it through tech inspection. So, Nic had offered for me to drive, and I was, honored to be able to take the seat and perform well. So that's the reason I was in the car. But it worked out good. He drove around on the 1,000-mile street run, and I got to be the co-pilot, which I enjoyed very much. So, but yeah, Sunday went very well for us. Decided to try and get a bit of rest and get organized for Monday. We did notice we had a little leak in the small blower, and we knew we were going to run that definitely on the street all day for the 1,000-mile drive. So we decided to take it off late Sunday night and reseal it just to make sure we didn't have any issues on the street drive. So got that done, got a little sleep that night, and set up for Monday morning.
Yeah, careful. Like I said, one of them, I think, is starting to pull some threads.
So Monday morning came along. They have the rule is they have a driver's meeting at 8 o'clock. All the drivers have to listen to the rules. Then you've got a half an hour after the driver's meeting's over to take your tow rig, and they put it in quarantine and lock it into a compound. You're not allowed to see that until the following Friday till you return back to the track. And after you hand in your official slip for day 5, time slip, and they get it registered, then you're allowed to access your vehicle. The only other way you could have got it is if you broke down anytime during the week, and you'd have to call phone number or let them know that you've officially forfeited, and then, you know, arrange to get your vehicle towed back or get a ride back to get your haul or pick up your vehicle. So fortunately we didn't have to do that, so got back, got everything we needed out of the truck and trailer, made sure everything on our list was out, laying beside the car and the little trailer. I already had the car in street trim, so that made Monday pretty good for us.
Street Power Adder entry of Mike Ogilvie. 68 Camaro, whole bunch of tire on the back of it.
Remember the pea gravel story?
Oh, that was our boy?
Yeah. Mike Ogilvie.
Mike the Rock Crusher Ogilvie on the left-hand side. And Brian Krakowski on the right. 95 Mustang GT.
Maybe we can call him Mr. Slate.
We'll find. We'll see what happens here.
Obscure.
No, I just mentioned Mr. Blackwell.
Yeah.
Mr. Slate may as well be Taylor Swift at this point. Off the starting line is Ogilvie. Car didn't seem to make too aggressive a move early, but he is going to complete under power as he goes 9:14, 148 miles an hour. Brian Krakowski will slowly make the trip of 1487 at 51.
Went very well. It went 9:14 at 149, so I was very happy with that. That was a little quicker than I thought it would be on paper, actually. So we took what you would call the one and done run, which gives us time. Big thing with drag week, you realize real soon, is time's your enemy. You need to get roughly 200 to 280 miles was our longest run. Columbus, our next stop was Indianapolis, Indiana, where they host the U.S. Nationals. So that was kind of my goal to make day 2. Big sentimental value to me. I've never raced there, so it was an honor to try and get there for day 2. So we packed up, got back, got our trailer loaded. We started heading out. We were very fortunate to have friends of ours, Sam and Mike. They've done drag week many years before, so they kind of teamed up with us to ride along on the highway and just kind of show us the ropes and explain, you know, how everything works at drag week. So that was very helpful for us. Like I said earlier, there's only allowed 2 of us to kind of touch the car. If you do need a second set of hands, another drag week competitor, as long as he's registered, is allowed to give you a quick assistance, you know, for that sort of stuff. So it was nice to have those guys for, you know, a bit of peace of mind and some backup if we needed them. We basically got back, made the run, everything went well. Converted it back to street trim to make the ride. Street trim takes about, you know, we got it down fairly quick by the end of the week, but at first, you know, you're 2 hours probably by the time you swap everything back. We need to swap, you know, the slicks off and put on the street tires. We had a second set of shocks we were running to take the weight of the trailer, and so we didn't abuse the QA1 race shocks on the street drive, so we swapped those out. Drained out the raised fuel, put in the pump gas, swapped the blower pulley to lower the boost to be a little easier on the engine, change the timing a little bit. And then, as you notice in the video, we have to swap out the parachutes every day because that's the same mount for our trailer hitch. We install the wheelie bar, so that has to come off and on every time. Nick would go through the valve adjustment at least every day in the morning, and usually that night, just to verify, because the number one failure usually in drag week is valve train, because you are making, you know, this motor's capable of making over 1,500 horsepower. It's still making 1,000 horsepower in street trims, so, you know, aggressive camshaft profiles and exotic valve train stuff doesn't tend to live on the street that well. But luckily, Iski worked with us, and they do a lot of drag and drive stuff, so held up very well. But, you know, we check it at least once a day, if not twice. And then, you know, probably the longest part of the swap over is getting the trailer loaded, because everything has to come out to swap it over, so you're loading all your equipment and your tools and your generator and everything you think you need. And we had the trailer packed pretty tight because we had a pretty big list of spares, and, you know, you got to have everything in there for your week, including your luggage and, you know, everything you need to survive to make the week. So, but that went well. We got everything switched over, and we got on our way to Indy for day 2. And on our way to Indy, the things got a little interesting early. We knew probably our biggest nemesis, which it always is with, like I say, 1,000 horsepower street-driven car, is the heat. So we did change, you know, the day before we left, we had a big thrash there to change the rad, update the water pump, update the fans. We had to make some shrouds. Nick spent a couple hours just before we left to make a front air dam for the car to force some air up in there, more into the rad. So, you know, we figured we were going to have some heating problems. Sure enough, we weren't long into the drive. It started getting warm, and every day of drag week, you know, beautiful weather, but it was mid-30s down there. So it was pretty warm. So we decided to take the hood off the car, strap it to the trailer, which did help. Made a big difference as long as we could maintain speed. And like I say, Nick was driving, so we kind of found the sweet spot for, you know, the temperature and, you know, the speed we had to roll to be able to maintain the car, but we still had to be fairly careful with it. As we went on, it did get better. I think the engine kind of settled into a spot, and like I say, everything was brand new. We did kind of play around with some timing and some different things, and the blower pulley to get the engine happy at highway speed. So very fortunate for that. So, you know, we got probably the first 100 miles of the trip in with a few stops, and like I say, we're stopping for fuel every 45 minutes, plus it's probably, you know, 120, 130 degrees in the car due to the engine temperature and the outside temperature. And like you see, we run headsets because, you know, got 4.5-inch exhaust on a blown big block Chevy. It's pretty loud inside the car. So about every 45 minutes we get gas, get out, get a bit of a rest, stretch our legs a little bit, check some things over. The way they do it is they have, after you hand in your official slip at each track, they give you the exact route you need to follow to the next track. You have to make sure that you do follow that route or you'll be disqualified. They have 2 checkpoints along the way to stop. You need to get a photograph in front of it and document the time you were there. Plus they do have people checking along the roadside to make sure you are obeying the rules. There was some guys midweek apparently that didn't and got penalized for it. So definitely pretty neat that they do follow that up so everybody's on a level playing field. So yeah, it was fun. All the check stops, you know, were pretty neat memorials or a spot, you know, to get something to eat or check out some cool vehicles or, you know, just talk with some other guys doing the same thing. Really the biggest problem we had for the week, we were rolling down the interstate pretty good, probably, you know, rolling along there 70 mile an hour, just chat and things were going good. We kind of had to reshuffle some stuff in the trailer a little bit to get the balance on the car right. It was swaying a little bit, so we got that. Their heating problems pretty well under control, and probably about an hour after that, we were driving along and all of a sudden the engine made a weird noise. Nick looked over at me, I looked over at him, and then we kind of had a huge backfire and then a weird sound, and he reached up and clicked it off. Fortunately, we were coasting pretty good, so we did manage to coast halfway off an off ramp and figured possibly we'd run out of fuel. We did have a fuel gauge, but, you know, being last minute, we weren't quite sure how accurate it was, so we thought maybe we ran out of fuel. So first thing we did is we had extra fuel in the trailer. We ran back and grabbed the jug of fuel. Nick started to get the trunk lid off. Well, as we were pouring fuel in, I happened to glance down, noticed the trailer hitch was laying on the ground. I said, Nick, okay, bud, we got some bigger problems here. Come to find out that the chromoly tubing that at the back where we had the hitch modified is split long ways and kind of opened up like a sardine can and was allowing the hitch to pretty well be broke off. So basically, having the ignition box failure, we weren't quite sure what it was at the time. We thought it was fuel related. Kind of saved us because unfortunately we might have had a bigger accident with the trailer coming off the back of the car. So it's kind of great that we did have that problem when we had it. It allowed us to, actually we pushed it off the road into a small gas bar. Called for backup. Sam and Mike were actually ahead of us almost to the next checkpoint. We kind of got mixed up on different gas stops, so they were running a little different pace than we were. We give them a call, told them we were having issues and, you know, to roll on, you know, to the next check stop or circle back if they felt needed, but they decided to come back and give us a hand, which we were grateful for. So we come back, spent a little time trying to figure it out. We weren't out of fuel. So we got the valve train off. My first thoughts were we did have some valve train issue by the sound of the backfire. So we had Nick take the valve covers off and he inspected the valve train while I kind of tried to make a decision what we were going to do with the hitch. Wondering at that time that we were probably going to end up spending the night in a hotel until we could find somebody with a portable welder the next day, but that was probably going to compromise the rest of our week if we could make it to Indy for day 2, because if you don't make it to the next track, you have to forfeit and your drag week's over. So we're a little nervous at that point, figuring this could be it. We grabbed some ratchet straps, we found a short piece of chain and some bolts, and with the help of Sam and Mike, they had a ratchet strap or two. We got under there and kind of supported that hitch enough to get it up off the ground, hoping we could make it to the next check stop or at least make it to a point. What we ended up finding with the engine, you know, we took the valve train apart, it was fine. The carburetors, everything looked fine. We actually tried another set of spark plugs because we did get it to restart. It just wasn't running clean. Everything appeared to be fine at that point, and then while it was sitting there idling, it just basically shut off. Which is probably a good thing. It was a little nerve-wracking at the time, but when it officially shut off, I said, well, we should be able to find it now. Tracked it down to no spark. Tried to swap out the ignition coil we had for a spare. That didn't do it. Grabbed a spare ignition box. Luckily, we'd grabbed the ignition out of my dragster before we left the shop. Switched the ignition box up, fired right up. So we knew we were back in good shape there. Like I say, we had the hitch temporarily fixed. So our next stop, we were only probably 5 kilometers from our check stop. Thankfully, was an old vintage speed shop, Hawkins Speed Shop in Richmond, Indiana. So we went in there, and actually Goldstone was sitting there with the javelin when we pulled in and asked how we were making out. I kind of pointed at the hitch, and he said, okay, you were the guys. I just seen that online, actually. So he offered a welder. He had one in his trailer, or he said to mention to go into the speed shop. The guys might have something better. So that's what we did. We went in and asked the guys at the speed shop, and unbelievable gentleman there. He just said, pull the car into the far alley, and walked over and opened up a bay door, rolled us out a nice big MIG welder, went over and unlocked the door to his machine shop and his back of the speed shop, actually, where there was a full rack of chrome moly tubing, milling machines, lathes, drill presses, and basically said, I got to go back and run the store. You guys are welcome to use anything and get yourselves fixed up. So that, in my opinion, is what saved us for drag week. We spent probably 2.5, 3 hours there. Nick got under there. We rebuilt the hitch. We did have to build something, a brace that we could remove every day, because like I said earlier, the parachute mount is our trailer hitch, so we had to make sure everything was going to be safe, and something removable, because the wheelie bars and everything are pretty tight up under there, so we still had to make sure we could convert it to race trim every day. So the funny part is, we got all done, we went to pay these gentlemen. They didn't want to take any money. We decided it was, we were definitely going to leave them some to make it right, and we're grateful that we did. They saved our week. So we didn't get in probably till 1:30 in the morning to Indy, but it was a satisfying night. One of the neat parts when we were rolling between Columbus and Indianapolis on our way in the middle of the night, because we had the problem with the hitch, we were rolling late. It was pretty neat to get to roll beside Blasphemy, Finnegan. Those are the guys, we look up to. They're big drag and drive guys, and it's pretty neat. We've watched a lot of their stuff for years to try and figure out, how the drag and drive works, and we actually spent many a night working on the Camaro, watching them on YouTube. We got to Indy. It ran 9:08 pass, which is the quickest we've been, 1:49. Very happy with that. So we basically did a one and done run. We got back, started converting it back over.
What we have not seen today is anybody has gone 50 square. Yeah, Jarvis really started to climb up there. He pedaled it, and the major difference between that beam axle with the parallel leaf springs and an independent front suspension was he got a couple of bounces. Bill Jordan, 71 Dart, running it unlimited with a Hemi in it, and Mike Ogilvie, the 1968 Camaro. Ogilvie running in the Pro Street Power Adder category. You can clearly see the supercharger protruding through the hood. And Jordan's car is going to kind of idle its way off the starting line here with Ogilvie running 9:08, 148.99.
Yeah, not getting into the eights. He didn't do that yesterday either. That's what he's hunting for.
Ran a 9:14 yesterday, though, so he does pick up better than half a tenth.
It was nice to have the vendors there, so I went over to MSD, and they were very grateful to actually take care of that ignition problem we had. I went to buy another box from them for the MSD grid, and the guy said the one you had shouldn't have failed, so they definitely give me a new one. So that's very stand-up with that company, and that's another sign of gearheads all working together. So yeah, we had a great, uneventful day 2 on our way to, day 3 on our way to Martin, Michigan from Indy. A neat spot, we got to stop at Lane Automotive, which is actually Motor State Distributors, where, we purchased 90% of our hot rod and race performance up here in Canada. So it was kind of actually neat to put a face to the warehouse. So they hosted lunch and took us for a tour of the facility, and we got an opportunity to buy a few spare pieces and parts there. So we stopped there, enjoyed that, had a bite to eat, and made our way onto the track. Actually made our way to the hotel that evening, had time for a decent supper and decent sleep, and get up bright and early and made our way from the hotel down to Martin. I'd actually raced there before with the dragsters, so very nice facility, so it was nice to roll in there. Also neat that Nick's mom and dad, Ted and Heather, decided to come down and spectate and do all the tracks so they could watch Nick and us try and compete. And Ashley decided last minute to jump in her and let him come spend the week. So it was pretty neat to have them there. Get in there within about half an hour. Unbelievable fog set in, so they couldn't start the running for a couple hours in because you couldn't even see the scoreboard. So it was a little delay. Actually gives us a chance to do some maintenance on the car. So Nick went through and did his valve adjustment. We actually had time to check some stuff over, change the oil, repack the trailer. And the nice part is it gave us a couple hours to actually go around and visit with us some other competitors and get to know some people, seeing it was our first year. Talked to the editors of Hot Rod Magazine and the guys from Sick Week. They all come around, did some interviews, had a nice chat with everybody. So that was kind of neat.
5.49.
Coming up on the left-hand side, you can see this red Camaro. I was advised by Hot Rod Magazine editor-in-chief John McGann. They had a plan to change the blower on this car every single day. I think they've got a 6 or an 871 on it, and he has something like a 10 or a 12 with him, and they were going to swap it out, put the smaller blower on for the drive. Instead, they decided to leave the small blower on it the whole time. Why you would go that direction? I'm not sure. I would put the larger blower on it, although blowers do make heat. They suck a lot of power. His mileage might have been reduced. So anyway, they're running the smaller supercharger.
Cool story, bro.
Yes, great.
So the blower of indiscriminate size on the engine of the Camaro, motivating it to a 911 Ford, 148 miles an hour. Paul Bigelow goes 961, 9 at 140.
But the day went good. We finally got out there midday, I think, and made a pass. Car worked good, went another 911 at 148. So that gives us another one and done pass. So we handed in our ticket and got our route on our way to Milan. Yeah, and the few 100-mile trip between Martin and Milan went flawless too. It's great scenery. It's nice, pretty neat checkpoints to stop and check out along the way. Classic car museum, ice cream shops. We enjoyed it. It was a nice country road. And the other cool thing with the social media, race car fans, hot rod fans all seem to know when you're coming through their town or down the road. It was neat to have, hundreds of people out cheering us on as you came through the small town. I thought that was pretty cool and something I didn't really expect. But we rolled into Milan. Fog came rolling in there, actually a little worse than it was in Martin, so we had another couple-hour fog delay. And once again, Camaro worked really good. We had her switch back over to race trim. Laid down a pass there, 911, 148. The car slowed down a touch from the day before because I don't think the air was quite as good, but pretty consistent for a brand new piece on different tracks and different weather. The thing was repeating pretty good. So
Mike Delaney's got the Trans Am on the right-hand side.
And Mike Ogilvie came into the week with a plan to be blown several different ways. But he has decided to stay with a single, more traditional route of forced induction.
This blown Camaro has been 908. Will he blow it? Or will he get his first 8-second time?
I can't believe you're going to spend that material today and not save it until tomorrow. 911 to 148.
yeah, so we had fun there. Same thing. Got back, did the one and done pass, handed in our time slip, got it registered, and got our trip and our map to get us back to where we started out in Columbus. So we were feeling a little better once again that we might be able to pull this thing off. Yeah, unfortunately, we had an excellent day 5. Plan was going in. It's kind of the big elephant in the room for the whole week. Before we left to go to Drag Week, our whole plan leading up to it was to come up with 2 different programs, one for a track setup, one for a street setup. We were going to run a smaller 871 on gasoline for the street drive. We had a big 1471 with 2 methanol dominators on it. So we were actually going to switch blowers, switch fuel types completely, and have a low 8-second, possibly high 7-second setup for the track drive, and then be able to tame it down for the street drive. We decided early after the testing and everything being brand new that we probably wouldn't complete the week, not knowing really what we were up against because this was our first year. So, we decided, me and Nick together, our best approach would be to stick with the gasoline street blower, run it conservative, try and get through the week. And then if everything went well, the car handled good, everything was good at speed, that we may try the big blower on Friday when we make it back to Columbus. Loans and Freiberger and John McCann from Hot Rod, we've had that discussion all week, as you could hear on the live feed. Tempting us to switch it back and forth, and we'd actually talked about switching it back and forth maybe prior to that. What I didn't really want to bring up, being the trailer hitch issue we had on Monday, was actually our parachute mount, and with the small blower, the car was stopping very well without the parachutes, but I figured with the big blower on paper, I'd possibly need the chutes to get it stopped, so didn't really want to try pulling the chutes until we were back to Columbus, where, if it was chute failure or pulled the back of the trailer hitch off, that that would have ended our drag week prematurely. So, decided to stick with that. And like I said to Nick Thursday night, let's put the big blower on, but I'm going to pull the chutes on the first 9-second run, get our official drag week done, celebrate that for a few minutes, and then we'll have some fun for the rest of the day, because they run, test, and tune the rest of the day while the rest of the competitors are making their run. That's what we decided to do. It worked out real good. I think the thing went 9:11, I think 9:18 maybe on the day 5 run. So that gave us a 9-second ticket, which was pretty emotional for me when it rolled across and I seen it. We got it done, come back. Me and Nick got to celebrate that for a few minutes. It completed it in our first year, so pretty excited about that, and to do it with my family. We grew up, me and my dad and our family, doing motorsports our whole life. We still do it every weekend.
What's interesting here on the right-hand side is this Camaro that we're looking at, the Supercharger. He has been running an 871 on gasoline all week, and it now has a 1471 on methanol.
Oh, okay. What was the ET at the 671?
Well, the best time that he has run was on day 2. He went 9:088. It's been in the very low 9s every day. It's Mike Ogilvie. We're going to see what happens with the 14 and the methanol. Should be a radical difference. The change from the bigger blower, but the change to the far cooler inlet charge of the methanol. Will it thunder into the 8s? Well, 5:45 to the 8th mile tells me he's going to go about 8:50, 8:51, 160 miles an hour.
Car worked good. Still a little hesitation leaving, but nice and clean for everything being fresh. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of tuning to do on the car. Went an 850 run, nice and clean, steady. Parachutes worked good. Everything was fine. Back around, decided to change a few little things just to try it again to get rid of the hesitation. Went back around. And I also gained a nickname while I was down there, Freiburger and Loans. That originated on the first pass. Never been to National Trail Dragway in Columbus, of course. It was my first time. So on the return road, decided to follow the car that was ahead of me to make it back to the pits. And the return road we were on kind of turned into mostly gravel, no more asphalt. I decided to kind of get around the potholes and get onto the grass. Coming off the gravel, the fresh warm slicks picked up a bunch of stones and trapped them up inside the quarter panel. So apparently on the next run on the launch, all the stones dumped out in front of the rear tire. Nick was mentioning it when I got back there. He's like, we got Freiburger to take a picture of my car finally for a magazine, and you're dumping a bunch of stones out in front of the tires. So that's how I gained a new nickname, but I guess that's how stories are born. The car went 841, 161, smooth as silk again. Did the math. That, believe it or not, gave us a high 8-second average for the week, which was kind of the cherry on top. We didn't expect that. We weren't setting any big ET goals for the week, knowing we had a lot left in the car. But it was pretty neat to get those. I didn't even realize at the time. Sam kind of come up with it. He said that those might be quick enough to give you an 8-second average. We did the quick math. Sure enough, it came up. Our average for the week ended up being 897 at 151. So that was definitely a pretty neat highlight to cap the week off. So that gave us a chance to, hand everything in, go back and get the truck and trailer out of quarantine, take a break, get everything packed up, go down, visit with some of our peers, everybody that we wanted to see, and kind of recap everything. Go down and watch the awards ceremony.
Pretty solid launch on that thing, a 1:22 short time. He goes to the 8th mile, 5:36. That should be a low 8. 8:40 at 161 miles an hour.
Thanks for watching. I enjoyed it. It was another ticket for my resume, I guess you can say, and another big part of our Ogilvie's motorsport legacy we're trying to build. So thanks for watching. Talk soon.